Hello, I'm pleased to present Volume 3 of the second quarter Swan Manifesto Blessings newsletter for 2026. In this edition, I will delve into my experiences with Jehovah's Witnesses, highlighting the abusive history I endured and the hypocrisy of their corrupt power structure. This organization has engaged in practices such as blacklisting and shadow banning, attempting to control my social media initiatives, and even orchestrating efforts to evict me, all while masquerading as a Christian entity and employing tactics reminiscent of Nazi counterintelligence methods. Hello, I want to make a quick video about my announcement of my second quarter newsletter for 2026, Volume 3. So, this is my third year doing this newsletter, and I know that I've dealt with all kinds of obstruction from different people, mainly what I've come to understand is that Jehovah's Witnesses have blocked me and have prevented me from really being able to connect with an audience that is, interactive, which, they've deprived me of many things throughout my lives. I've come to understand that, yes, I was targeted by Jehovah's Witnesses even back in the days of CB Braganza. And I now understand that I have dealt with unfair abuse. I think everybody deserves to have a sense of accomplishment, but I believe that this, through their bloodline targeting, it was their goal and their mission to try to prevent me from having any sort of footing in life. Okay. And obviously, this is a very torturous and very abusive sort of behavior for any human to exhibit. And then also, I question their right to do so, mainly because when I look at this from a biblical perspective, somebody who feels entitled to dole out punishments, they are not in a position to do that. And I have come to understand that they have done so many abuses to me relating to my employment opportunities, and then also monopolizing my things like Patreon. And I do understand that my landlord, who was making an attempt to evict me, belongs to Jehovah's Witnesses. They have taken on a behavior that has remained hidden. Like when I was growing up, I did study with Jehovah's Witnesses, which I've talked about this before, and I summarized it in my newsletter. This is a side of Jehovah's Witnesses that they have tried to hide, when I used to visit the Kingdom Hall. Okay. But, I've come to understand that some of these people resort to tactics that, resemble things relating to like the Ku Klux Klan, white supremacist type views, and their tactics when it comes to COINTELPRO. So I do encourage you to check out this newsletter. A lot of this newsletter it's current, up to date. Right now, it is March 31st, okay, and I had talked about their attempts to have us evicted. We did apply for an apartment complex, and we are still waiting for an answer. Now, I know I want to say that going forward, I have to make decisions for me. Okay, I have to make decisions for me, coming and understand that I was dealing with people who trivialized my existence. Okay. And I find it very disrespectful. And, there's times where, I don't know if people want to play head games with me, or are they playing head games with me. But I will tell you going forward, I am not somebody who will tolerate head games. And the reason why is because after dealing with being a victim of COINTELPRO and, setups by religious organizations, these hate campaigns were carefully orchestrated. So, I don't want to live my life trying to figure out, oh, is this person a part of that trying to carry on this network hatred, or are they doing that? I'm very upfront about this. Everyone in this community knows who I am. So when I deal with delays or any sort of obstruction, the first thing I'm going to assume, and rightfully so, okay, rightfully so, I'm going to assume that you are trying to create bullying or you're trying to continue on something. Okay, so when I call somebody and I ask for information, I expect to get the information right away, or I will just drop you and ignore you and treat you as if because I'm doing this for my own good. Okay, I have dealt with something that I should have never dealt with. Okay, and what's shocking to me, it came from people that I least suspected. I always thought that Jehovah's Witnesses had higher standards. Unfortunately, they don't. They have become toxic social cancers. So I do believe that I am somebody who is worthy of respect, and I expect to have positive exchanges with other people. Like I said, I cannot take any sort of chances on people trying to make attempts to abuse me on a psychological level. So if you can't cooperate, I will not cooperate with you. I will drop you like a hot potato. It has to be that way. Okay. The other messages I want to talk about a little bit are something about me and my son. I do know that I've been in this apartment for quite a while. Okay. I do believe that people are discussing this issue and it does have widespread attention. A lot of people are discussing this. The message I'm getting right now is that people want me to advertise Gordon's occupational engineering. The thing is like I've dealt with so many problems here in Bakersfield that at this moment I've decided to try to attempt to get disability. Okay. Why? Because, I deal with social anxiety. They don't know, like, for example, I just recently met with this particular landlord, this prospective landlord to view an apartment. Okay. And I will tell you, it took a lot of mental courage and a lot of strength in me trying to get into the right frame of mind to even meet her. Okay, so I want people to understand that after dealing with psychological covert tactics of people messing with my mind, I expect people to be upfront and decent with me. Okay, and if you, like I said, one mess up, and I cannot take chances on people try to take slights at me. So like I said, one fumble, and you have to understand you missed your opportunity. You missed your opportunity. Okay. Why? Because that's just how it is. Okay. So my son is going to be following up on the apartment and I need an answer right away. I don't want to play games and it is what it is. Okay. And my son needs to develop the same sort of attitude. Why? Because, we've dealt with abuse. I know that the employers were his employer as well as the landlord was trying to set us up to get evicted. Okay. And the reasons why were completely unjustified. The message I'm getting right now is that some people are speculating about who I'm going to marry. You need to understand right now. Okay, I was born and put into this program. Okay, and this was perpetuated by the church system, which meant that I was cast in a negative light, which gave people the idea that they had some sort of right, to abuse me. Okay, this is the kind of mind control that was going on. I am not comfortable with people. So people can speculate all they want to. Okay, at this moment, I need to feel safe. Okay, and I would say that these people did a very bad job on making me feel that way. So I will proceed as I see fit. And this is what I'm saying. I'm saying is people, everybody knows who I am in this community. Okay. And I expect to be treated like a normal human being. The message I'm getting right now is I am victorious in surviving the hate crime and moving on. I expect some form of compensation. And like I said, I understand that number one, I was prevented from working. Everyone has the right to pursue employment. Okay. Maybe in your churches, you might think, oh, this is her bloodline. Well, guess what? From a legal standpoint, you're focusing on my bloodline and preventing me from doing things because of it. You are practicing racism. See, I understand that some people have generational ignorance, and that's what it is generational ignorance. And this is what the landlord as well as the employer was perpetuating. Okay, so anyway, the message also I'm getting is that yes, I am a well-known ultra MK ultra survivor. Okay, and that's what I am. Okay, now what was normalized in churches, okay, was actually a big form of mind control. It takes mind control to convince you of a certain person and how they came into existence. For example, we know that clones have been in a part of the church system for quite a while, okay, but they don't talk to you about the abuse that goes on. They don't talk to you about where they were created, how they were created. None of that. They almost give the impression as if God put them in the womb, as if this was the way it was supposed to be. This was a man-made orchestrated thing. Okay. And yes, it had sinister intentions. It brainwashed a lot of people, for centuries. Okay. I think about how long CB Braganza has been chased by these religious groups, okay, and this includes Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, as well as them normalizing it and using other churches to bully up on an individual. This is not Christ-like. It's not. Okay, what other message do I have? Something about and something about me winning. Like I said, I could never sit here and be proud of being a part of something so barbaric. Okay, some people are like, and I get the intuitive message that a lot of people are celebrating me right now. Okay, the thing is that I'm very grateful to be alive, and I'm very grateful that I have, been able to track back through my memory and trying to connect the pieces together. Okay, but this was a barbaric act. Okay, this was basically a hate crime, right? Orchestrated through churches. And then I think about the issue of, Joseph Mengele and the experimentation on twins, normalizing this sort of bullshit behavior. Okay, that people and people were so uneducated when it came to their own religious groups and faith that they didn't realize that this had nothing to do with Jesus. Okay, so I'm just tired of it. Anyway, so yeah, the other message I have is that the Kern County Social Services Department supports me. I'm glad that you support me and then you're happy for me. Also, apparently people are talking about, who they keep speculating about who I'm going to marry and all this other stuff. You need to understand, I'm very terrified by people right now. Okay, so you can sit here and speculate all day. What I need to do is feel safe. Okay, you think it's really foolish for people to think that I would trust another human being after dealing with what I dealt with. Okay, this is as I take it very seriously. Okay, we have a woman who thought it was completely okay for her to steal from me. Okay, they've taken so much they cannot pay it back. Okay, whether that was actual Patreon money or the fact that they prevented me, they cannot pay it back. They can't pay it back. Okay, so I expect to be respected if you can't pay it back. And do not let me see you again. The other message I'm getting right now is that white people fully accept me as the Jesus prototype. That's what I was acknowledged as, when it came to these 13 bloodlines and then these Freemasons and Freemason offshoots, people who were like what they call knowledgeable in erotastic type studies, okay, which was considered privileged information back in the day, okay, knew who I was, okay. So anyway, the future of Gordon's occupational engineering, I am still going to advertise, but I'm going out on disability. Why? Because um, I am responsible for myself. Okay. And so sometimes, this is what bothered me about these people who wanted to man my career, and then make decisions for me. I can't, all I know is that I'm supposed to manage this myself. Okay. And at this moment, because of the grotesque nature of these people, okay, and their inability to relate and have empathy, okay, I am terrified by encountering these freakish people. Okay, I don't have any respect for anybody who would do anything like this. Okay, and especially coming from a Jehovah's Witness. Okay, a Jehovah's Witness, and then the landlord company collaborating with, I believe, my son's employer. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted. Do you honestly feel like I can trust you? I don't trust a damn person. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is something about me winning. I'm disgusted that I don't even think it's about winning. Okay, I feel like, I feel sick to my stomach having to even be put in this situation. And it feels like, in 2026, you'd think that people would know better. It's not excusable to me, nor is it forgivable. The other message I'm getting right now is that people recognize I have a good reputation. They recognize me as being extremely psychic. I am, which is indicative of somebody who is related to the divine. Okay. The message I'm also getting right now is something about people want to congratulate me because of me, being able to face this challenge head on. This challenge was barbaric to me. Okay. And I feel as though it's a moral stain on so many different religions. Okay. As well as, unfortunately, some politicians as well. Okay. Because they lack morality. Okay, that means that you can put the title religion on anything, and people will just say, okay, well, this is religion. They might even assume that there's some sort of process that they go through to try to determine whether this is something that should be for public consumption. Well, I will tell you, it is not. This is pure corruption. So for the politicians who were a part of this, you need to correct your mistakes. Okay, and then how you can correct? Yeah, I know you can't pay me back. You can't. Okay, so just make sure that I do not have to deal with any more inconveniences. Okay, I do not deserve inconveniences. When I do deal with inconveniences, I immediately stop trusting you. I immediately put you on a list to where I will avoid you and we will not have a relationship. Why? Because everyone in this community knows what happened. Okay, so by participating in it even slightly, okay, is going to make me not want to communicate with you. Okay, and you need to understand why I do this. Okay, apparently there was discussions within this particular group. The landlord had, and I'm not aware of who I know, but apparently she was upset because I was attracting male as well as female attention. Well, goody goody for me. Okay, that's my problem, that's my issue, and it's not your concern. I'm not a part of your religion. Okay, aside from that, I would never date anybody in this community after what happened. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is something about whenever I decide to advertise, it is likely that I will get customers. Well, I'm advertising. I'm going to be advertising. Now, a lot of people don't like alignables. Okay, they don't. Okay, but I would say a lot of these so-called social media websites, I don't think a lot of people really find jobs through them. I really don't really believe that. I really just think people just put, I don't know. I just don't really have a lot of faith in social media, period. But I do think I am going to be, uploading and putting information, announcing my newsletter in Alignables. I'm also going to be announcing, just maybe like writing blogs, professional blogs and stuff like that. Okay. And why do I choose Alignables instead of LinkedIn? I've already, been updating stuff enough in it. So if people want to connect with me on that, they can. Okay. Also, the message I'm getting right now is something a lot of people are looking forward to my newsletter. Okay. Good. The other message I'm getting right now is that people accept the inner child. They believe that it's something that has helped a lot of people and discussing it is finally okay. Good. I'm glad. Also, people think that I have bright days ahead of me. They recognize my psychic gifts. Um, and something about, oh yeah, I've summarized on the left hand side of the page, and that's the CB Briganza side of the page. I'm kind of like, crunching things down in timelines and then trying to think about people that I knew in the past and their connection. Like I even thought about one of my old teachers. Her name was Mrs. Schamberger in sixth grade, right? I'm starting to think about how certain people looked at me, certain things that people said indicates to me that they knew I was CB Braganza. I even looked into, this issue relating to Jim Culligan. Like Jim Culligan knew who I was. Jim Culligan was the man that Tanya married. Okay, so people are talking about me surviving MK Ultra, and yes, that's exactly what it is, MK Ultra. Okay, which is psychologically devastating. So when people think about me, talking about dating and stuff like that, I find that that is completely insensitive for you to think that I would want to do that after what I've experienced. Okay, there's a lot of fans of my father's apparition. People recognize that I am, yes, I'm somebody who's focused primarily on holy things. Okay, that's how I am. And see, I'm not, this is one of the reasons why I don't relate to mainstream religion, because I realize now that when, for example, I was doing some research about our members, my our brief stint at Olivet Baptist Church, and I was like, okay, well, back in those days, okay, we lived in a predominantly white neighborhood, so I'm like, okay, well, why would they want to invite us to their church, right? I'm just being realistic, right? And I come to understand at that time, my father was working at NASA and he was, making decent money. So I was like, okay, and no offense, I understand churches have to stay open. So sometimes their criteria is what a person makes. Okay. But see, with my spiritual system, my criteria is not based on your income. See, this is the difference between me and mainstream religion, because I understand that oftentimes some of the holiest people don't have much. Okay. Whereas, this is what I'm saying. We are completely opposite from that spectrum. Okay. And see, I personally think a lot of churches at this point should be changing to life centers instead of like, because what they did many years ago has proven to be developed out of ignorance, developed out of all kinds of isms, whether that be racism, sexism, whatever. Okay, a lot of it's based on, the need to dominate and control. And this is not really in alignment with free will. Like, would you prefer somebody telling you that they love you because they truly love you, or because somebody put a gun to their head, or that somebody was offering them some sort of incentive? The free will is what makes it beautiful. The free will is what makes it sincere. Okay. So what other thing do I want to discuss with you before we wrap this up? And then me going into announcing my newsletter. The newsletter is going to be in the description box. You know where it is. Okay, okay, what else? Okay, so yes, right now people are talking about Gordon's occupational engineering and how it sets the standards. Yes, I'm somebody who believes in psychology and law. I am a social scientist. Regardless whether you look at the fact that I do not have a bachelor's degree or not, I have already demonstrated that many people, so-called uneducated people, have contributed to the education system. Okay. And I do not need that validation. I have proven it. Everybody's talking about it. Okay. Because it played out in front of their face. My title is an occupational engineer. Also, I'm getting the intuitive message that Christianity is changing. Either churches are closing or they're reconstructing to New World Order initiatives. Wonderful. Also, many people believe I proved my point and resolved all of these issues. I proved my point regarding marriage and why kingdom spouses are dangerous. Okay. These people use this as an excuse to steal me from me. Okay, people are talking about this relating to MK Ultra. Yes, because in many ways they use mind control to let people they perform this crime out in the open in front of everybody. Okay, I would say you have to use a lot of mind control to do that. Okay, the other message I'm getting right now is people regret how they treated me. Well, it is what it is. Okay, and like I said, going forward, I have my standards. So if you are somebody who wants to assist me, do so and do so professionally. If you can't, I'm moving on. The other message I'm getting right now is people look at me as a loner. I am indeed a loner, okay? And people recognize that, yes, I do have intellect, I do have wisdom, and they are acknowledging the fact that for all my lifetimes, I have been somebody associated with philosophy as well as sacred writings, and Maria Gordon is no exception. Um, anything else? Something about me getting state disability should be feasible. Yeah, I think I'm going to start with state disability, and I think that's the proper way of going, perhaps, maybe, mainly because my son thinks that perhaps maybe I will get healed, and I'm like, well, the issue is that I have to deal with people. I'm done with people's games. Okay, I'm done with them. You say something out of line, you do something out, you step out of line one time, I will confront you and I will drop you like a hot potato. Okay, I'm not playing games. Okay, and to me, if for somebody to want to play games even slightly after all of this, you are demonic, period. Okay, so the message I'm getting right now is something about content creators. Oh, yeah, yeah, okay. I am releasing my third video for Gordon's Occupational Engineering. This is called Religion in the Workplace. The link will be in the newsletter. Okay. And then I'm also reposting the human targets as well as vigilantes must go. I will be continually making workplace education. I'm also even sharing the first lesson in the moral reset. So you will be able to get the moral reset lessons each newsletter, okay? Because I'm going to be doing them in segments. As far as the structure of the education system in and of itself, once I'm done with that project, I will be forwarding it directly to Galvin Newsom. Okay, I'm going to screw all you other people and forget. I'm just going to go straight to the head honcho of the state of California. Screw all you people. Anyway, the message I'm getting right now is it is time for me to make a fresh start. Okay, I realize the pain that they caused my father, James Gordon. I realize that, people like Amanda pretty much wasted her life in the organization. And that was a waste of her life. I look at the life that she lived, and I actually feel very sad that she threw it away on the organization when in fact the organization was pissing on her the entire time. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is America is moving into the new world order. Welcome a brand new day. And I think I'm going to leave this right here. Please wait for the announcement relating to Gordon's occupational engineering. Thank you. If your business is located in California and require expert assistance in management or temporary administrative support, look no further than Gordon's Occupational Engineering. As a leading provider of innovative solutions for workplace productivity and efficiency, I excel in both remote and hybrid work environments. You can count on me for prompt and precise service tailored to your needs. The Swan Manifesto newsletter for Volume 3, second quarter of 2006 can be found in the description box. Thank you for tuning in.